Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. Today I am working on more homework. I've got this huge drawing project that I'm working on for my Drawing 2 class. And I decided to combine a lot of the techniques that I used in my first project, which included collaging leaves and such, but we were free to choose our medium or media for this project, and I was like, sweet, since we have to turn it in digitally anyway, I'm like, I'm just gonna make a digital piece. But I know my professor doesn't really, well, it's not that she doesn't like digital, but she does really like the unique tactile and textural elements that you can only get from physical media art. So I'm making all of my pieces, or taking them all from life, and then just, so the digital element is just collage and replication and that sort of thing. So the part I'm at right now is I took all these nice quality images. I collected all these leaves on my walks to and from the park that is the subject of my piece, because we had to choose a place and choose a population that uses that place and make our piece about that. So I'm doing the park that I walk to every day with my dog, and I collected leaves for about a week on my walks to and from the park. So some of the leaves come from the park itself, some are just from the neighborhood on the way, and some are actually just from my own yard because the leaves are falling everywhere, and there's so many good ones all over the place. Like, I'm done collecting leaves, but it's so hard not to just collect them anyway because they're so cool. I love when there's like a really colorful one or a really big one. So now I'm just cleaning them up. After I photographed them, I imported the photographs. I roughly cut them from the photograph because I didn't photograph them one by one. I put them in I arranged them and got as many as I could with this white background in one photo, but I want them more clean than the rough cut that I did. And I think there's about 20 of these leaves. So it's it's a really time-consuming process, but I think the end result will be worth it, because with my professor was worried about losing, again, the like texture that you get from physical drawing media. So I'm doing my best to make sure that all that texture is still completely visible, since again it's gonna have to be turned in. This class is a remote class, so it's basically an online class, but we do meet at specified times on Zoom. So that's the difference between remote and online. Online you never meet on Zoom or whatever, you just finish your assignments week by the deadline, and that's basically it. Or, you know, you might post in forums or something, but it's got a deadline and you can do it at any time. But with these, yeah, we have in a sort of, not in person, live. We have live critiques and stuff, but all the artwork is turned in digitally. So I may as well make my piece for, I mean, that's my audience, right? It's a school assignment, so my audience is my professor, my classmates, and we're all digital, so I'm making it from the beginning using digital media, just importing. Now all this stuff right now, it's due in less than a week. It's due next Wednesday, so 6 days. So it's kind of like, because cleaning up the leaves are taking a while, but I think it'll really be worth it because I'm going to make all these leaves into like a border. I'm considering making it like a dog bone shape, because the population I decided to focus on, because it's not just about the place, but a population that uses that place. My population are the dogs that use the park, because I think it's way more interesting than any human population that might use it. I know I'm not alone in thinking that dogs are more interesting. That other animals are more interesting than human animals. This is time consuming, but for me it's worth it to do it this precisely, because I'm just a stickler. I'm a perfectionist. I try not to become a slave to it, and it does serve me well at times. I get really good grades and everything because my perfectionism forces me to hang in there to the bitter end, and then I'm like, yay, A+. But it is hard sometimes to get through it. Like yesterday, I physically couldn't keep working on this because my hand was so tired. But even though I am a perfectionist, I'm not. So if I erase a little bit of the leaf, I'm not that worried about it, because as long as the overall shape is recognizable as a leaf, I'm not that concerned with how true it is to that actual leaf. I mean, besides, the leaves, the ones I collected earlier were super dry by the time I got to the photography. The moment that I finally got them all together and photographed them. So they had changed since the time that I had collected them. Some of them actually broke a little bit, so I don't think it's that big of a deal if in digitally cutting them out they also change a little bit more. Almost done with this one. Whew. It's pretty warm in here. I'm wearing my lovely big fluffy fuzzy robe because it's cold here now. But in my studio, it gets pretty warm after a while with all my lights and computer on. Digital collage. I've never really heard of anyone doing digital collage like among the videos that my professors like have us watch, like here's this artist and here's this artist. They're often gallery artists, or sometimes my illustration professor recommends illustrators to us, which is great, but I've never really, I'm sure other people are doing it. There's no way I'm the first one doing digital collage, but alright, that one is done, but I have a nice trick, which is to put a stroke effect on it, and then you can tell if you missed a spot because it'll create a little dot or line. Oh, I gotta turn off this map. So I have this map of the park that I'm also going to incorporate, but it's in the way of me seeing these little dots. Turn that off. Having the background this gray color is also a trick I use to cut things out as smoothly and cleanly as possible. Alright, that one's done. So I'm going to turn on this next leaf. Boop. Bring the effect layer onto that and make sure I'm selected there, and we're on to the next one. Oh, but you got to turn the effect layer off, otherwise it will cover some of the area that you actually want to erase. this on 100%. So nice when my homework is something that I can stream. Because it's really hard to find time to stream art when I am in school, when the semester is in. My illustration homework is usually a lot more streamable. Like my last drawing project, so this is project 3. Last drawing project was just this big, huge drawing, like, I don't know how big exactly, like 6 by 4 feet or maybe something. It was just not streamable. Even if I had like set up my camera to try to do it, you would have just seen my back. Like you wouldn't have been able to see the drawing. Maybe that would have made that one more interesting too, because that project was not very fun for me. It was just a value drawing in charcoal of a space that has been manipulated in some way. So I made it, I took a picture, so we were supposed to show both linear perspective and atmospheric perspective, and we had to show an indoor space and an outdoor space. So I got my linear perspective and indoor space by photographing my living room. And then my outdoor space, I replaced the window, the scene in the window in my living room, with a picture of Mount Fuji. And so that was my atmospheric perspective because it was very far away. So you get those atmospheric effects. But even though I tried to liven up the project by adding Mount Fuji because I love Japan so much and everything about Japan, it was still too boring. It was just like all value, giant value drawing. There was just nothing. I mean, I'm an illustrator. I guess that's the thing. I love stories. And there was no real story in it. There wasn't much character. So this I like much better. Whoops. Because I'm going to be drawing dogs that I've seen at the park. I've been keeping a mental list as I go on my walks and then adding to my actual list when I see the dogs at the park. And I'm going to draw them in my chibi style in physical media and then digitize that and add them to this final digital drawing. Hope it goes over well because this class has been very difficult for me for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's just all the stress of the pandemic and everything else going on. But I thought that this would actually be easier because I got all of my classes to be remote, so I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to spend time in traffic, be stressed out by bad traffic, or spend any money on gasoline or anything for my car. So I was like, yay, this is going to be way better. But instead, I'm kind of struggling. Like, I don't think I'm going to fail or anything, but I am like Hermione, so like ever since I came back to school 2 springs ago, I've gotten all A's and a single B. And it looks like I might get another B. Like, I might get like a B+. I might get an A-. Like, if I get a good grade on this one, then I might get an A-. But spring semester this year, and I know it's partly because I heard that all professors were instructed to grade very leniently because of the pandemic and everything that happened, and you know, everybody is just stressed beyond belief with this unbelievable, not circumstance. What is it? What is the word for a thing that's going on? Event? Yeah, I guess event. So that's probably why, but I got on the dean's list for my college. And I was like, what? I don't even know what that is. I've heard of it before. But for dean's list, you have to have A or A+ in everything. So I'd never made it before because I'd get A-. You know, it's still an A, but it's an A-, so I wouldn't get on dean's list. And I'm like, oh, dean's list, wow, I feel so special. I feel recognized or whatever. Even though it doesn't really mean anything to anyone outside of college. But still, it made me feel good, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do my best to stay on the dean's list. Well, I don't think it's going to happen this semester. And I got to let it go because it's not really going to matter for my overall career. Like, people aren't going to be looking at my transcript and be like, too bad, we were going to hire her as an illustrator, but she was only on the dean's list for 1 semester. It's just, sorry. That's not going to happen. So, I need to not let it bother me so much. Still, it feels good. Feels good to be recognized for working hard. I guess if I can get a super good grade on this one, and then there's going to be one more project after this, I believe. And then I was going to ask my professor if there's any way we could get some sort of extra credit assignment to do over Thanksgiving break, which is in 2 weeks. Because I've been struggling in this class, so there's no way I can, like, get extra credit done during the normal week to week. But if it's over Thanksgiving break, I could do something. I would have, you know, there's no classes, and there's my language lab job. We're not doing anything in there either. So I'll have so much time to get caught up in the classes I'm behind in, and I would probably have time to do some extra credit. So I want to make sure to ask her about that. It was funny on the grading rubric thing or whatever it is that I got. Oh, no, why does it do that sometimes? I guess I hit too hard on my tablet. Anyway, so I got a B+ on my last project. And for some of the elements, because it's like graded for, like, I don't know, how well you stuck to the theme of the project, how much you interacted with your fellow students and gave feedback, that kind of stuff. Can't remember which element it was, but I got, she wrote in on top, like, B+, A, or whatever. For one of them, I got a B++. It was, like, just barely not an A-, I guess. That's funny. Love how this leaf folds in right here. Such a subtle thing. It probably won't be noticeable in the final piece. The final piece is massive. This whole canvas meets the project requirement of being, what was it? At least 3 by 4 feet. Of course, I made the DPI only 150 because I didn't want, like, a giant file that was just gonna kill my processor every time I try to open it or whatever. Slow down my entire computer as it tries to open this mega huge file, because I usually scan everything and make any digital work in 600 DPI, because then you can, like, blow it up to massive sizes without quality loss if you're gonna print it. So it's like a 4 by 6 drawing originally, and you could print it at, like, I don't know if this is a ratio equivalent, but say 20 by 30 inches, and it would be there wouldn't be any artifacting or whatever, because 600 is just huge. Because you never know. I might want to print like a giant banner or something that has a chibi on it. So I always work in 600, but not this time because this is already huge. Looking forward to the final piece. I haven't started drawing the dogs yet. I've got a collection. I've got 5 of them, I think, that I've seen at the park since this project started. Of course, it doesn't help that I've been walking really late recently, and so I don't see that many dogs, or it's so dark I can't tell what kind of dog they are, but I think 5 is enough to fill this in. 5 chibi dogs. Another thing, my professor, how should I put it? She expressed her worry that if I make the drawings of dogs too big, then we'll lose all the nice textures that I've collected from the outdoors. So I think 5 dogs is good because then I can meet her expectations, I guess. Because basically when you're in a art class, or at least this is how I think of it, it's like your professor is your client. So you've got to make something that will satisfy the client. So in a professional sense, that would mean the client pays you, but in an academic sense, or the academic world, I guess, it's that the client gives you a good grade. So any suggestions she gives me or things that she seems worried about or something, try to make sure that I keep that in mind as I move forward. So I'm sure as a professor it's frustrating to give advice and not have your students even try it out. The student already feels like they know enough, and to me that's silly anyway, because what's the point of going to school then? Because an art degree isn't going to get you a job. The only reason to go in for an art degree is to learn techniques from experienced artists, so that's what I'm here for. Isn't it cool how the shadow of the leaf is almost the same color as the leaf? I love that. It's really neat. It's hard to tell. So like here it was obvious that this is the edge of the leaf, a highlight, so I shouldn't erase that. But here it's hard to tell if it's the edge of the leaf or if it's just the table. And it doesn't matter that much though, because again, this is going to be huge. So the overall effect, you won't really be, you literally won't be able to see that. Though I am going to do some, I'll present my final image both with, you know, the full image all at once, zoomed out, but I'm also going to zoom in and present some close-up shots so that people can see the details, and so that hopefully I'll get graded on the details as well. I don't know what time is it. It's already time for me to get ready for class. Hold on, I got a message from my calendar. Oh, okay. I've got time. About half an hour until I need to get ready for my next class, my art history class. Almost done with another leaf. Rona, hello. How are you doing? So happy you could make it. I love this little, use the stroke technique to figure out if you've missed some areas. I should make a little tutorial about that. It's so easy and I've never seen anyone else do it. Maybe no one else cares as much as me about making it a super clean cutout. Alright, so this leaf's done. So turn on the next leaf, move the stroke effect onto it. Oh, this one's going to be fun because there's some like cutout areas that I need to erase. Okay, then turn stroke effect back off. I'm doing well. Whoops, I meant to put an exclamation mark. I'm good. I'm glad to hear that you're good too. It's always, Thursdays are so great for me because I have only one class. I don't have my language lab job, so I can take my time with my homework. And I've been able to fit in art streaming for like the past month now on Thursdays, which is really great. So yeah, I'm pretty good. I just had lunch, so I'm also feeling good because of that. It's always good when you have a delicious meal. Had some tuna melts and watched science videos on YouTube for lunch. Tuna and science. So are you making a collage? Yes, actually. Here, let me zoom out and so you can, oops. So you can see the whole thing. So this is like a massive picture. It's for my drawing class. And so I've got like 20 leaves that I'm going to cut out. I'm definitely not going to get them all done today, but let's see. I've got these textures I've taken from outdoors. So this one was, I rubbed it in the grass. I was trying to get grass stains. It didn't work. So since it didn't work, I just put some watercolor circles on and like flicked watercolor on it. And then it was perfect. It started snowing. So I was like, sweet. And I put it outside and let it be snowed on. The leaves were still raining down on it too. And so that like was snowed on, frozen. The snow melted, it dried. And so it became this interesting texture. You can actually see some of the leaves right here and like kind of here, I think. And then this one, I sprayed a paper with a bunch of spray adhesive, covered it in leaves and like stomped on it and then sprayed it again and did it again. So I've got this leaf texture, and then this one, I did rubbings with art sticks. So basically like colored pencils, but they don't have the wood casing. They're just like, they're kind of like pastels, but colored pencil stuff. Wax. So these are rubbings from multiple tree barks. So multiple trees, their trunks. So I'm going to use those to fill in this map that I have of a park in Boise. And so I'm going to use this for like the grassy areas, this for all the trees, and this will mark out the like playground area. Then I'm going to create, I'm going to try this, we'll see if it works once I get there. I got this bone shape, and I'm going to align all the leaves on this bone shape to make like a bone border, and then cut out everything else so that it's like transparent, so that the image is like a bone instead of a square. And then the final thing I'm going to do, which I don't have on here yet because I haven't drawn them yet, so I'm going to draw little chibi caricatures of the dogs that I've seen at the park since I started this project, because they're actually my subject, because the subject is a place and a population that uses that place. And so that's what I'm doing. My population is the dogs that use the park, because they're way more interesting to me than any human population. So right now I'm just working on these border elements, like getting these leaves. I'll probably have to replicate them, you know, make more in order to fill out that bone shape. It's probably not enough. Probably have to make them smaller too. But I want to get them nice and pretty, cut out all beautiful first, and then I'll do all kinds of manipulation. I might like change the colors or squish them around or something to make them look like different leaves, or maybe I'll dodge and burn them, or all kinds of different stuff. This is nice. I love the variety of color in the leaves. Awesome, I'm glad you think so. I think that it's gonna turn out pretty good. My professor, I don't think she works in digital at all, so she's like, when I asked if I could do a digital piece, she was like, oh sure, because it said the project said the medium was up to us. I was like, sweet, my chance for digital. But every step of the way she's really worried about losing the elements that are kind of native to traditional media, like texture and tactile sensations. But my thought process is, and sorry to anyone watching the recording later, because I already said it, but we're turning this in digitally anyway, so I don't see why I should worry too much about making a tactile piece when no one's gonna be around to like touch it except for me, and I don't care that much about it. I touch these leaves, that's enough. I guess I'm also making a point about the time. So it's not just the place and the population, but also the time period. Or not period. Period's not a good, just since I'm doing all these leaves, it really gives a sense of autumn. So that's another element I'm including. But I'm just obsessed with leaves, that's all. Any excuse to need to collect them or mess with them. Like, I've been done collecting leaves for this project since last week, but every time I go on my walk with my dog, I'm like, oh, that's such a good leaf. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I have a bag of leaves still. I haven't disposed of the leaves I collected for this. But they're just so fun. Sometimes they're really big, or sometimes they're really wild colors that you don't expect. Here's the fun part. Making it hollow or something. I don't know if that's the right description for this. Corona, have you been doing any more art recently? I really like your little baby Yoda picture. It was really cute. Of course, I won't say anything more because I'm a spoiler-free zone, but yeah. We have a little baby Yoda, the child plushie, in our den, so it like is like watching The Mandalorian with us or something. This is such a tight little corner. There. Yeah, so satisfying. Here's another part that's see-through. That's still not the right description. I don't know, it's like a hole, kind of. It makes a hole because this is a 3D object that has been turned into a 2D object. And it's like truly a 2D object too, since it's digital. Oh, you're working on some commissions. Anything you can talk about, or is it top secret? I know sometimes people prefer if you don't share works in progress and stuff, depending on the commission. Oh man, I really can't tell what's the leaf and what's the table here, but I'll just guess. I love the curves in this leaf. It's really fun to eraser on these curves. Ew, it's like a roller coaster or something. It's a drawing roller coaster. Oh, that's a really similar color. Look quite brown, but when I erased, I was like, I can't hardly tell if I actually erased or not. Right now I'm working on painting of someone's cat, but they requested that I paint it in a Kylo Ren outfit. That's adorable. Aww, are you gonna post it on your Twitter? If you are, then I'm gonna look forward to it. I don't like Kylo Ren, but I like Ben, you know, at the end of the third movie. I'm like, yes. I love redemption stories. They're my favorite. Though I did like him as, he was like when I first saw the first of the new movies. I was like, this guy's hilarious. Like how he's throwing a big temper tantrum. Like, crap. What a big baby. It was hilarious. I still laugh when it happens. I want to watch that movie. It's still funny. It's like that other guy who's with him, who reported the bad news, knows what's coming. He thinks he's gonna be killed or something. I'll make sure to post it as soon as I'm finished. Sweet! Looking forward to it. Yeah, those, because of all the edits that they made to, why does that happen sometimes? All the edits they made to the older movies, the newer movies are now my faves. Return of the Jedi was my fave for a long time, but then they freaking added that horrible no to the end, and I'm like, they ruined the best part of the movie to me, because the best part was like the music is telling the emotional story, as you know, and the characters are silent except for Luke begging for his life, and Vader is clearly, you know, through movement alone and the aid of the music, having this tremendous internal struggle, and then he, you know, the music sweeps up and it's like, he's doing the right thing, oh my god, it's so amazing, and then they just ruin the moment by putting that no over the top of it. We did not need any dialogue there, so they ruined my favorite movie. So I'm like, fine, the new movies are my favorite movies, that's all. Yes, I love him as Ben and Kylo. I swear Adam Driver is perfect in every role he's in. The vibe in that ending is just so perfect. Agree, I agree. I'd never get tired of those movies. Like, I was so excited. So, my household watched all the movies from, like, in story order, including the, like, side movies. I don't know, why does that happen sometimes? So like Solo and Rogue One and everything, we watched them in world order, or not release order, but like story chronological. And then at some point we realized that the Blu-ray set that I had been given with all the main movies has Japanese language tracks on them too, and I'm like a huge fan of the Japanese language, and I'm still learning. Like I'm like barely entering advanced level Japanese. I'm like intermediate, high intermediate, and so I'm at the point where I can watch stuff and understand a fair amount, even if I don't understand the details. And I'm like, yes, I'm gonna rewatch these movies again in Japanese, but I haven't had a chance to. Because school started up again. Not that I ever really stopped school, because I took summer classes too, but it's the kind of thing that I think I'll have to do by myself, because I'm pretty sure no one else in my household wants to watch all the Star Wars movies again in Japanese with no subtitles. I think I'm the only one who wants to do it. So I gotta find some time. Probably during winter break. But yeah, the vibe in that ending is just so perfect. Ugh, totes agree. I love it. I love it. And it's so deep too. Like, I think about it. Because people were upset, like, oh, they shouldn't have been romantic, or that's gross, or whatever. But I'm like, they, like, established that they're, what do they call it, a dyad in the Force, I think? So it's like, when it comes to the Force, they're like the same being and stuff. And I'm like, that's so cool. And then how, like, she used her life to save him, and then he used his life to save her. But it's like they're saving each other's life because they're the same life, and it's just super cool. I really like that kind of, thing. I like thinking about it. I don't like arguing about it, though. So I usually keep my ideas to myself, but and then I hear rumors like, oh, they're just going to retcon it all away. And I'm like, no, don't. I like it. I like these movies. If they do that, then I'll be like, fine. This is my own personal... No, why is it doing that? I think I need a new tablet. Anyway, those movies will be my personal... my personal canon, even if they try to get rid of them. Like they did with all the Star Wars books that existed before they tried to get everything under control. Let's see. Yeah, you never see it, but then you put this stroke thing on and it's like, oh, I totally missed some spots. It bothers me, I found the need to do this because sometimes if you create a transparent image and then post it, depending on the background color of whatever site you're using, it'll look fine on most sites, and then it gets on the right color background and you can see all these little artifacts that you missed and you're like, oh man, that looks terrible. So I figured out this way to deal with that ahead of time and never have to worry about it. It does take the little extra effort, but I think it's worth it. Next leaf. Woo, this one's a big one. And it has a lot of little holes in it. But it's worth it to get all this stuff out, because it would be cool to see other stuff poking through depending on where I put this leaf. I totally agree with you there. When Ben died, I was 4 because I really didn't expect them to redeem him just to kill him off. That's another thing, too. People who were upset about him dying, but that's another thing where you can, like, philosophize over it. What's the word? Philosophize? Something. Makes me sound like an idiot when I can't pronounce it, but, you know, you can think deeply about it. So I'm like, well, maybe that was the Force's way of compensating for all the ill deeds that he committed during his life. And, you know, he finally started working for good, but it doesn't completely erase. And then he, like, by making the ultimate sacrifice for someone else, although someone else who is also the same as him. Yeah, see, like, you can think about it so deeply. People probably already are writing essays about this. Thinking so deep. They're probably, like, philosophy people who know lots of philosophy through the ages and then can, like, apply. So we just talked about something like this, not Star Wars exactly, but in my art history class, there was some time spent on the idea of pop culture versus high culture, or like highbrow versus lowbrow. And the point was that even though lowbrow or popular culture tends to be looked over or looked down upon, it's actually historically a better way to get a sense of, you know, what a people were like in general, as opposed to the select few elite people that tend to be examined. We're talking about it from an art history perspective, so it's like paintings and all these artifacts and stuff were only owned by the very rich few, not by the greater whole of the people who lived during the time. So then he brought up the idea of Disneyland, and like how Disneyland is like a super pop culture thing, and so you might brush it off as like not something worth intellectual study or anything like that. But then he showed us that there have been academic studies and scholarly journals published about Disneyland or inspired by, you know, that type of culture, because it reveals deeper things about people as a whole. So Star Wars, no, why does that happen? So Star Wars is probably another great opportunity for that kind of examination of like the human psyche or people who live today or something like that. Because I'm always thinking about it in really deep ways. So you can think about it just in terms of the characters and the human condition through the characters and through the story, but you can also think about it in terms of people's reaction, like real people's reaction to the story, how it affects their lives. So fascinating. It's like I like writing essays and stuff, but I'm so tired now from school that I really need a break, so hope someone else does that kind of deep thinking. And then I'll read it. I don't want to have to do it myself. I don't want to have to do that kind of... Yeah, I'm going for an illustration degree, not art history or philosophy or anything. I like learning about it. Let's see, I guess I'll get these little circles. Well, they're not really circles, so I don't know. Spots? Yeah, these little spots. Oh, what time is it? Okay, I've got time. Got 7 minutes. 7 minutes until my class. Can't tell if this one is just a lighter spot. I guess I'm going to assume it's another hole. And this one too. There. Maybe the best thing about fictional worlds is that even if you don't want someone to have gotten killed, you just go back to the beginning of the story and they're alive again. And you never have to be parted from them. Just don't watch or read or play the story to the point where they die. They'll always be alive. But then you just don't get the satisfaction of a resolution either. So hard being a fan. Fan life is hard. Man, this is a big leaf. Oh, look, here's a spot that I think is a hole. There. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this leaf done before I gotta sign off for today. Oh, it'll be so worth it when they're all done, though. I think it's going to look really awesome. I think it'll be really impressive. Hope I get a good grade in this assignment. I like this part where this leaf is like bent over. Man, once I'm done with these, I can totally use them. No! It does that sometimes. I don't get why. Anyway, I can totally use them for other stuff later. Ah, the wonders of digital art. little cut right there. Ah, no, why? Don't do that, tablet. So Krona, for that Kylo Ren cat, are you going to make it like stylized, like a character? Or are you going to make it more like the cat realistic and then like a realistic costume on it? Or how are you going to make it a Kylo Ren cat? Also, is their cat named Kylo Ren? Did they name it Kylo? I'm pretty sure another online buddy I have named her dog after Kylo Ren, because her dog is definitely named Kylo, and I can only assume, since she's another fan type person, that it's because of Kylo Ren. Could be wrong though, could be something else. Never actually asked her, so just making assumptions, which isn't always good, I admit, but I like to think that it's named after Kylo Ren. Let's see, 3 minutes left. I'll just do as much as I can. Oh, your cat is named Kylo. Oh. Cute. Oh, black cat. I love black cats. We have a black cat, and I was so happy when we got him. We actually rescued him from under our house. The neighbors abandoned him, and then about a year later we noticed him losing weight. He had been living under our house the whole time, and we're like, let's catch him, see if he has any diseases that would make him incompatible, and if not, let's bring him in. And he was totally healthy except for ear mites. But I love black cats. I always wanted one, and I finally did get one. Fate was kind to me. Swear can't spell most of that. No problem. That's why asterisks exist. Everyone understands the asterisk. Or at least I like to assume so. Because I use it all the time too. Chatting with people. Whoops. Or autocorrect comes in. Like, autocorrect, why? Why would you do this? So close to done with the top half of this massive leaf. Painting in semi-realistic style. Oh, okay. That way it doesn't appear photorealistic and has a little bit of artistic personality. That's kind of the big thing for me. Gotcha. And I think I can imagine what it might be like. It's time for getting ready for art history class. I want to at least get to the end of this stem right here, though. And then I'll save and call it a day. Well, at least for this stream. I'll probably come back to this after class. Due in less than a week, and it's obviously taken a while. I think it'll be worth it. I think it's going to be really nice at the end. It'll be cool. I've never done anything like this before, so at least that'll be fun. Okay, I'll leave it there. Move my tablet. out of the way. And save. Alrighty, so that's it for me for today. I hope I'll be able to chat with you again next week. And if not, still, thank you for watching.